Wayne Brown,
Yeah.
wants to make cuts to our social services, to our youth groups, to our community services, which is just totally the wrong thing to do.
I was going to ask you about that. Like, how do you think he's going since you've been back? Like, what have you seen?
Bad.
Is there any changes? Because all I hear is him complaining. Like, the latest thing is the proposal for the Harbour Bridge, right?
Right.
And I still don't think it's correct, because it's still going along the same lines of that bridge. Like, wouldn't you want to divert the traffic to other parts of the city? Like, maybe a connection to Devonport somehow to get traffic away from the bridge. Now you're gonna congest everything now.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. More cars, so you need bigger bridge. But now they got the tunnel, cool.
Yep.
Got more lanes on the bridge, cool. Whatever. Yep. Train over there is good, big help. A bicycle lane, big help too. But still, you're gonna congest everything in that small space. Mm-hmm.
Well, everything that I read about the mayor while I was overseas was controversial. Particularly around the late response to the floods. He didn't. He has the power to call. An emergency. It's his responsibility to do so. He did that quite late. And he did that. A few hours after people were running out of their homes with their kids, with their flooded homes. He waited way too long, and
it was hopeless. It was just hopeless.
Yeah. And also it's the mayor's responsibility to bring. So he's got 20 councillors around him at the table, the governing body table, and he has a really big role to Awhi, to support them and to bring them together. And I feel that's quite lacking as well. That he hasn't. It's just he makes the most horrible off the cuff comments about particular councillors. And I think that's just really bad taste, and I don't think he will last. This will be his first and only term as the mayor.
I think because there was such a low turnout in voting, the reason why he won, and especially the whole flooding debacle. Like, he was slow, and he had bad press in the beginning. Like, he's saying he wanted to play. Oh, I gotta go talk to the media. I gotta attend this game. That kind of stuff comes out, and you're like, this guy.
Well, I have to say as well is that, remember, during the election period, that on the right you had two other people who wanted to be mayor. So you had a woman, and then you had Leo Malloy. Yeah. So that you had and so if they had stayed in that particular race, so they withdrew to give Wayne Brown a chance, so they wouldn't take votes from the right, and if I strongly believe that if those two had stayed, I think Efesa would probably be our mayor right now, because they would have not voted for Mr. Brown, but the other two, and so the other two purposely withdrew out of the race to give Wayne Brown a decent chance of a right-leaning mayor, and they were successful in that.
A typical white guy. He's a typical, because, man, I don't know. I get he wants to change things, right? But I don't know, just the way he does it, his demeanor and that. But I get he wants to attack AT, Auckland Transport, because Auckland Transport, I believe, got too much power and making maybe wrong decisions in some of the transport stuff that's happening. I mean, I get it. Like, they build these cycleways along businesses that probably didn't need it, But but at the same time, I'm talking about things that happen in the city, but not necessarily happening in the suburbs, Yeah. But it's
Well, he has a role and responsibility to bring his councillors together and to take them on that particular journey, and I don't think he's achieving that right now.
Well, he's got too much of an agenda for himself,
Absolutely.
Like, he went in thinking, okay, I don't like these councillors, but they got elected, so I will ignore them. What kind of teamwork is that?
It's also the negativity of some of the right-leaning councillors as well, that just, I feel at times quite embarrassed, actually, that we've got some of these people as our community leaders. But that's democracy, and they were voted in, and that's what you've got to work with.
One thing I learned when I did that, those podcasts with those Jackie and even Craig Lord. Like what I learned was the structure of how local government works, because I didn't really know, and I don't think hardly anyone knows how it works. So with someone like in your position with it's a board,
local board,
local board.
Yeah.
I liked how Craig Lord said he wanted to give local board more power.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones on the ground. They're the ones seen all the shit around the community.
Yep.
And they're the ones that should relay to the councillors.
Yep.
So councillors give it to the mayor. But there's a disconnect there. Was there like that disconnect when you were, the past years you were on the board?
I've been elected for 10 years now. There is a big disconnect between the local boards and the city councillors. Absolutely, there's a disconnect. It was supposed to be a shared governance. It's supposed to be a shared relationship. But what it's become is it's become a them versus us. And I would like local boards to have more decision making power, and it's not quite there.
Why do you think it's like that? Because it seems to me there's systems in place for a reason.
Well,
why create a local board if it's not you're not making it work?
Well, Rodney Hyde back in 2008, 2009 had this grand idea of a two-tier system. So your councillors, they make Auckland-wide decisions. Your local boards, they make decisions based on your local community. We'll get rid of the 5 city councils. So it was Manukau, Auckland Central, Waitakere Council, North Shore, and Wainara East. Let's get rid of these 5 councils in Auckland City. Let's make this one super city, but we'll make it all these smaller local boards, and they'll have local decision-making power, and that's it. It just didn't turn out like that at all. We were given very small budgets, very small decision-making, and the bureaucracy that we've got to fight against. Sometimes it's not even us that makes the decisions. It's those who are employed by Auckland Council, like Auckland Transport, for example, as you mentioned.
Well, that's the most stupidest thing I've ever heard. Because you're right, man. Like, why make up a system when we don't even use it? Like.
Yeah. It's a flawed system.
Yeah, it's a flawed system, and it's to me, when I think about that, I think, why is anyone complaining about it? Why isn't Auckland complaining about the system that doesn't even work?
I would like for us to relook at the system. I think we need to look at what works overseas as well. Is there any overseas models that we could use? Because we've got a really large population, by the way. We're much bigger than Boston, but we're very spread out. From, say, Pukikohe all the way out to Wellsford and Warkworth. So we're a massively spread out city. Boston is very compact. We're very spread out. And so that comes with its challenges, right? Not all areas are equal. I think about, you can't get public transport out in, I guess, Piha, for example. They don't have regular buses that go out there. And so we're not getting equal services and in all our areas of Auckland City. So I want to find a model overseas that we could, we look at that, hey, that could actually work for us, because this current system doesn't work.